Alright, we should be live. We're back. We're working on Teval, Arbiter of Virtue. Here she is, in case you need a reminder of how she works. We got it down to 168 cards last time, 168 spells, and that's counting Teval, and we need to get her down to 60, so 108 more cards have to go. So, yesterday I realized that the biggest problem with Teval is that all of the cards on the list, more or less, are actually very good with what Tevel is trying to do. So cutting cards is kind of all in on figuring out which cards are the worst at what they're doing, or if there's any subgroup that I can actually just cut out entirely. Let's go down the bottom and work my way up. Start off with today. So Sludge Titan is good for milling. Amzu is good for triggering when cards leave graveyards. Bloodsucker's got the life drain. Maybe that one's too low impact. Like just draining a life from each opponent. So if I have two opponents, I gain 2 life each turn cycle. 3 opponents, 3 life, and so on. Is it worth it? I think it's close. I think the Essence Warden is better since you're likely to run into at least one deck that's capable of producing multiple creatures in a turn, and our deck certainly can produce multiple tokens in a turn to gain life, that much life each turn. So, because we have a whole lot of cards that make a token when cards leave our graveyard, and it is very easy, even when the card is specific to creatures. That's something we can do very readily. So. Maybe it is Creeping Bloodsucker. Maybe it's too low impact by itself. Maybe the Scorch Beast goes. I do have a lot of cards that mill, but what am I doing with this thing? Am I making... So it's once per turn, so I can't, like, Thought Scour myself and make a bunch of zombie mutants. I need to play, like, one of the bigger mill cards first, and then all of the little mill cards after. I'm not making as many zombies as possible. Now, if I cast Traumatize on myself, this thing is going to absolutely pop off. I don't know if that by itself is good enough. Might be the Sakaran Infiltrator. It's so good, though, with Tevel. Like, every 2 cards I exile from my graveyard, I get to make another body and draw another card. It doesn't really matter that that body is a 1-2. I'm getting to draw a card with each one of them. Yeah, see, this is a problem I keep running into. Like, everything that's on the list is good in the deck, so what cards do I actually not want anymore? Due to the fact that I need to cut some amount of cards. Like, maybe Curse of Unbinding isn't good enough? Like, if I put this on myself and I mill, like, almost no cards and hit Essence Warden or something, that seems pretty terrible. But if I mill a handful of cards and hit an Archon of Cruelty or something, that seems amazing. Like, I didn't even take as much damage or have to exile as many cards necessarily in order to get the big spell, and I'm getting a shot at it every turn. Yeah, maybe Ikra can go. Like, I prefer a lot of the things that I don't need to connect with the opponent in order to gain the life. I guess I would rather have a Verdant Sun's Avatar than Ikra, for example, even though Ikra is repeatable. Like, the one creature, if it keeps hitting, can keep gaining me life equal to its toughness. But I think the Avatar is just better at that point. Teval is real helpful that I don't have to exile my entire graveyard to cast like 2 or 3 spells in a turn. Like, once I get the one down, she can tap for a ton of mana. And I probably drew a card. But maybe that's not good enough. There are so many cards that are on this list that are really good in the deck. And I have to figure out now, without having played with them in the build, if they're somehow going to be good enough or not. That being said, I think we can cut her. Dark Petition is cool and all, and between the 3 mana it gives me and it itself going to the graveyard, it's basically free. At the same time, that's true of a lot of the tutors in the deck, and they don't cost 5 mana and require a tiny bit of setup that I should be able to do, so. Want to keep Rise, want to keep Primeval Bounty, want to keep Jace. Is it possible Imperial Seal can go? I do have a lot of card draw, though, so Imperial Seal probably still gets to stay. It's still good. Like, I haven't cut enough artifacts to make Ugin bad yet. Meringue is in here for the card draw side of it. Oh, that's right. I fixed it down below, but not put the casting cost in properly here. Old Keeper is fine. Wood Siege. Old Keeper gives me a rebate every time cards are leaving my graveyard to cast spells, and gives me treasure when I'm not using the card specifically for that. So if I regrow a dead creature or something, that's a free treasure token. Top of that, and I have the when an artifact dies, I gain 5 life. So Fangren, very inclined to keep it. It is one of the potentially lower impact creatures in a vacuum, though. It's just a 4 mana 3/3 flyer, and it makes me a few treasures. Glacierwood Siege can either mill me or let me play lands from the graveyard, and both are really good in this deck. The biggest downside to Glacierwood Siege is that I have to choose which mode, so... For Dredger's Insight, I need to make sure I have enough early mill, because when Teval hits the table, I want to be able to follow her up with something, potentially. I don't just want to cast Teval and then not do anything and then have her die and I didn't get any value out of her, but at the same time, I don't know if that's the best one. The problem is I need a lot of them. I need to be able to mill myself for a lot of cards over the course of a game. And we've cut a lot of the other ones that aren't as impactful, so... Like, it's possible Search for Azcanta is just worse. I need to keep Dredger's Insight instead. The Search for Azcanta will let me mill one card every turn. Dredger's Insight mills me 4 immediately. Although it might only be 3 by the time I'm done, but then it's giving me life over the course of the game until it gets killed. And nobody's killing this intentionally. Like, unless they're going to discard an enchantment removal spell anyway, and they might as well cast it, nobody is killing Dredger's Insight specifically. Like, it's going to get swept away with way more powerful enchantments, so... Yeah, like, Overlord is a way stronger 2-drop self-mill card, so... Rather keep that one than either Insight or Azcanta, but I kind of need to find more cuts. Is it Lumra? Lumra mills me 4 cards, but then takes all of the land out of my graveyard and puts it into play. And Lumra herself does not trample. Lumra himself does not trample? I forget how it works with Lumra. Lumra does not trample. So... Even if I make Lumra a giant thing, the only way I have to give Lumra trample, I think, is Shadow Spear. I think anything else does it. Yeah, maybe Lumra goes. It is incredibly powerful to, you know, put 3 to 5 extra lands into play off casting Lumra. But I just don't think I have the room for it. Like, I would rather have Aftermath Analyst to mill early, and then, if I decide I need to, pull back all the lands at this point. I get rid of Up the Beanstalk. It draws me a card with most of the things that I'm playing. Like, early setup spells aside, most things draw me a card off of Up the Beanstalk, and it's cheap. But I have a lot of other card draw in the deck. Maybe. Still like Collector's Vault, although maybe it winds up going... Yeah, I like it, but maybe it's just not good enough. The upside to Collector's Vault is it lets me discard the expensive spells that I've drawn when I have a reanimator in hand. But I've cut down on the number of reanimates, so I don't necessarily think we need it as the enabler for that. Really like Storm of Saruman. Really like everything. I think I said this yesterday too. It's like, yeah, I like these cards. Of course I like them. Like, we had almost 300 cards on the list, and we've cut most of them off, so... You know what, I think we can cut Hoarding Broodlord on the same mentality of why we're cutting Dark Petition at this point. I don't need these super expensive tutors, even if they are bodies that I can do other things with. Like, I have a bunch of powerful large body creatures that are doing other things. It's possible I lose Conduit of Worlds. I currently have Crucible, Conduit, the Green Warden, I think is its name, and the Glacierwood Siege. So it's possible I don't need Conduit also. Also, technically Muldrotha. Pretty sure Muldrotha does let me play a land each turn. Let me triple check that, but almost positive Muldrotha may play a land, yeah. Double check. No. Why would you ask that? What did I hit that made you think that I would want that? Not being weird, internet. Parasunder, Sholdred, Geki, Jingataxis. Maybe it's Henrika. She draws me a card, and then she lets me buff my lifelink creatures for extra damage. But maybe that's too low impact. Probably too low impact for Henrika. And I need cuts, so... take her off the list. I like Null Priest a lot in the deck. Maybe we cut Nighthawk Scavenger. The problem is it's a very large power lifelink flyer. Like, a lot of our mill cards can be pointed at opponents if we suddenly need to grow the Scavenger. I have to think about it. Not ready to cut the Scavenger yet. Possible I need to, but I don't want to cut too many of the smaller efficient creatures, because then I don't have... like, then I'm just playing utility bodies early on, and those don't block particularly well, and my life total is kind of an important resource. So I do like either more aggressive creatures, or at the very least, evasive lifelink creatures early on. That way I can pad my life total a bit. Yeah, search is probably the least impactful out of my self-mill cards. At only one card per turn. Like, I think the thing from Modern Horizons 3 that mills cards and then you can pay mana and life to bring them back. Like, I think that one might be better as a self-mill engine. And I'm not thrilled with that one either. Like, that one's already off the list. Gear Hulk. Eternal Scourge just needs to be Miss Tala Griffin. Pretty sure. Do I lose Traverse? Because I don't necessarily need a card that gets me a land in the first couple turns of the game. So the fact that it can get me any land or a creature later on is its big selling point. Yeah, okay, let's lose Traverse the Evenwald. Alright, that is 10 cards off the list at this point. See what else I can bring myself to remove. Maybe Soul Conduit is just too clunky at 6 mana to activate. Like, we leave Profane Transfusion in because it's really, really good when my life total is taking massive hits, especially from a card like Profane Transfusion being cast. I really like having 2 of that effect in the deck, though. Like, Mirror Universe is already gone, so... Trade Sphinx, Worm Coil Engine, Sanguinate, all things I want to keep. Say as though everything on this list isn't something I want to keep at this point. Every time I say something like that, I have to remind myself it's like, that is true about literally every card. There's not a single card left on this list that you don't want to keep, I feel like. Like, there might be a couple that are hiding that have managed to avoid detection so far, but even the ones that I'm cutting, like, all of them work with things in the deck very well. Yeah, probably keeping all of you for the time being. Only keeping Crucible. Debating tooth and nail right now. I think tooth and nail gets to stay. I feel a bit bad for tooth and nail. Like, one of the main reasons I'm thinking about cutting it is I don't have like a 2-card win con, but at the same time, I always feel bad when I run tooth and nail because I have 2-card win cons, because then it's like, well, now I can't tutor for anything fun and put it into play. I think tooth and nail stays for right now. Stone, Mindslaver. I can cut Mindslaver, but it's so powerful and colorless, so between those two things, Teval making it a lot easier to cast and activate in a single turn, which makes me want to keep it. And we also have ways to recur it like Emery, so mess up everybody. Yeah, kind of want to keep all of those, surprisingly. Maybe intuition goes. The biggest thing about cutting intuition is that it should probably be gifts ungiven, even if I'm keeping it. That's off the ban list. Because gift still puts 2 cards in the graveyard. And since it's commander, I really don't care about having different names on the cards or anything. So tutor, maybe worldly tutor can go. Like, it is possible that any of the cheap tutors can go. But I have a lot of card draw in the deck and enough self mill that could also be relevant, like putting a large creature on top of the deck so that it goes to the graveyard. Mana Drain, Soul Ring, Dark Ritual still potentially can go. Alright, see where we're at. If I copy this one, that brings me up to 11, so I didn't make any more cuts after I got to 10. Alright, we need less than 100 cuts now. Getting into the home stretch. Alright, one more sub list. I want to see all my big Doomsday caliber spells. Like, what am I trying to cast with all of this ramp from dredging everything? What are my biggest, bombiest spells? Palancron. I don't know. Maybe Palancron does go. I'm taking 7 damage to cast it just to fix my mana so I can cast other big spells. You know what? Real quick, I do think we can get rid of Palancron. Let's cut Palancron. Pop back up here. Go down to 157. I talked myself into cutting Palancron. Because when I look at it as a 7-drop that's not one of my big Doomsday spells, but something that's enabling other things, it's like, how much more do I need to enable? Alright, so time stretch, huge impact spell, Mindslaver, Tooth and Nail, Kokusho Myojin kind of fit this bill. Kokusho a little less so because he's a 6-drop, but if I'm casting Kokusho and something else in the same turn, it's probably worth it. Golgari Grave Troll is more enabler than it is a payoff. Woodfall Primus, kind of. Drive Replication. Sanguinate. Wait, what's below Sanguinate? Wormcoil. Yeah, we'll add Wormcoil Engine to the list. Alright, Fangren's more about life gain than anything else, but I would consider Consecrated Sphinx one of my payoff cards. Liberated, yes. Soul Conduit, kind of. In that I can cast it, take the 6 damage, and activate in the same turn that I cast it. A lot of the time. Morgan Void Winnower, yes. Earhole, kind of. Drotha, yes. Yeah, Vern Sun's Avatar kind of falls in the same category as some of the other ones where, yes, technically it's a big thing that I can ramp into, but it's still more utility than anything else. Doom Whisperer at 5 kind of feels like no. Like the 6+ creatures, yes. Do I have any 5s? No 5, so I think Doom Whisperer and Sir Conrad and whatnot are more just enablers that I can get a discount on. Yeah, Green Warden is more utility than what I'm trying to ramp into. Jungataxis, yes. Reach and Vorinclex, yes. And yeah, I don't see anything else between them. Okay. The Vorinclex is 5, but he's also 8 mana to transform, so that's still 10 mana though, because I can't exile for his cost. Yeah, okay, maybe Jungatax, or not Jungataxis, Vorinclex doesn't count then. Since he's only a 5. Storm of Saruman. Doppelgang, yes. Those are things that I'm looking for. The Meringue itself is not what I'm trying to cast. It's the card draw spell. We, ooh, excuse me. We can cast the Meringue if it's relevant to do so, but oh wait, I passed expropriate. I say Archon of Cruelty, yes, but I missed expropriate. It's 19. Archon's 20. Transfusion is 21. Two. First is 23. Astral Dragon's 24. Alright. Start the list and then double check, make sure, because some of the cards that are near the bottom there can be, but they also might not be. Alright, so these are my big spell payoffs, like why I'm doing this all in the first place. So time stretch, yes. Tooth and nail. So Astral Dragon was the last one, so... like, Heartless Conscription is more removal spell. Like, I didn't put in Garrick's Wake on the list either. I don't think we bother with that one. Metamorphosis Fanatic, kind of, yeah, because it's... if it's not being cast for its miracle cost, then it is a 6-drop. So the Temur kind of feels like a payoff between copying the spell and drawing a whole lot of cards. Grave Reaver is definitely in the payoff category. I kind of feel like all of the Warhammer cards are. Like, yes, the Infiltrator is only a 3-drop, but every 2 more mana I can dump into it makes it more powerful, so it's more like an X spell. So yeah, all of those are basically payoffs. The Scorch Beast and the Deathclaw, yeah. Yeah, Sludge Titan is in the right range for casting cost, but it's also more of an enabler than anything else. I feel it's more akin to like Doom Whisper or something where it's going to set me up than as a payoff for having done all of this, so... Alright, so over a third of the deck is payoff, so some amount of things have to go, and even while making the list, it occurs to me I don't have ways to sacrifice Gokusho intentionally, so I don't think it's the best card in the deck, despite the fact that if it dies, I'm going to gain a huge amount of life. The fact that I don't really control if and when it dies is what concerns me, so... yeah, I think Kokusho can go. Honestly, Tooth and Nail can probably go also at this point. I need to make room for the type of thing that Tooth and Nail is going to hit. Ah, it feels so bad to cut it though. Because not all my payoffs are even creatures at this point. Really want to keep the Storm. Yeah, Storm is one of those cards that I feel like is most indicative of what the deck is trying to do. It's like, this is a big, expensive spell that wants me to cast multiple spells in a turn in order to get a huge benefit out of the second one. So, the idea that I might be able to cast this and then cast something insane afterwards, it's just going to win me the game on the spot, more or less. You know, if I can cast Storm of Saruman and Time Stretch in the same turn as my first and second spells, I just feel like that's way, way too over the top powerful. Alright, I think the Curse of Unbinding can go. It could be Shard of the Nightbringer. I have tried to cram this thing into a bunch of other decks that could take advantage of it, and so far, nothing. It is really strong, though. Maybe it is Siege Behemoth. Like, a lot of my creatures are huge, but not a whole lot of them actually trample naturally. So, having a way to make it so that all of my things deal a ton of damage is interesting to me. Yeah, maybe that's not the best card on the list. It doesn't do anything when it ETBs. It has to attack. It's vulnerable when it's not attacking also, so it's not like it's hexproof on my turn or something, so I could cast it, equip it, and attack immediately. And only have to worry about a very small subset of cards messing with it. Yeah, I need some amount of the cards on this section to go. Just because I need, like, it shouldn't be more than a third of the deck. Like, maybe a little bit more, because some of the cards are also utility things. Like, maybe Noxious Gearhulk shouldn't even be on this list because of that. Like, it's more a utility card than anything else. Wormcoil Engine may be too low impact compared to some of the other cards on the list. Like, we have a bunch of different ways to give our creatures lifelink anyway, so a 6 mana 6/6 lifelink, even one that dies into 2 more buys. That's the thing that puts it on the list, is that and being a colorless spell, so I can potentially cast it for free, mana wise. Maybe it's just not doing enough. Alright, let's go cut all of these first. Wormcoil. What other worms do we have on the deck? Oh, it's Wormcoil in another section. Siege Behemoth. The list. Binding. It's in the self-mill section too, right? Yeah. There. And nail. Sorry, Tooth and Nail. You're very good in the deck. but it's true of a lot of things. Get rid of that Cuckoo Show, and probably the one in the life gain section. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brings us down to 152. Getting close to time. Alright, let me take another quick pass through. Is it Dark Ritual? Every time I see Dark Ritual, I keep thinking maybe I should cut it. You know what? I'm going to think that every single time I see it. Like, maybe it's not good enough despite the potential for an explosive ramp turn. If every time I look at the card I think, yeah, I can cut that probably. But, you know, there are going to be times where it's going to be absolutely amazing in the deck, and like, even just as, okay, now Tevel only needs, you know, like a turn 3 Tevel is very impressive. But it also just might get Tevel killed quickly and make her a 7 drop. So, maybe not worth. That is the downside to ramping into something like Tevel, is that it's like, okay, it's out now, and yes, it'll come back later, but killing it now puts it off the table for, you know, like 4 or 5 turns because of that. Between the ramp spell being used up and the additional cost, so. And there's not going to be anything more threatening on the board that early, so. Also, because we ramped into it and it put a card into the graveyard, we're already. Like, if we did that on 3, next turn we have 5 mana to work with. So. Definitely want to keep Fabricate. Besides Demonic Tutor, it's the only. And Vampiric, well, yeah, besides the Black Tutors, it's the only way we have to tutor for artifacts specifically, and we have a lot of potent artifacts on the list that are enabling different parts of the strategy, so whichever one is the most relevant gets to be grabbed. Like, I am wondering about the creature tutors because a lot of the creatures are interchangeable. Like, most of my creatures are either cheap utility creatures, and there's a bit of overlap in the utility. Like, there's different ones that are gaining me life in different ways, such. And then there are the ones where it's like, okay, this is one of the big impact creatures, but it doesn't super matter which one it is. I just need something that's dominating the board or giving me a massive amount of advantage for existing. The Archmage. It's such an impactful card, though. Like, especially if I've exiled cards, so that way I get to hold up a blue rather than having to spend all 4 mana casting it. Because the sooner it gets down, the more likely it is to counter the thing that's going to be the most problematic. If somebody gets something in ahead of schedule, it can't counter creatures, is the only downside, but. Right, Glenelendrus, non-creature, not instant or sorcery or something. Yeah, non-creature spell, so. More than good enough to stay on. I have so many creatures with strong comes into play abilities that I want to keep the minion reflector. Like, good comes into play abilities, some with decent leaves play, although we got rid of Kokusho. Like, that would be one of the best things to do with Kokusho, is actually cast him with minion reflector out, and then pay, and then lose the copy. And drain everybody for 5. But we still can do a lot of other things with minion reflector. I think we have enough good comes into play abilities, death triggers and statics, like, and we're cutting a lot of the cards where it's like, okay, if I actually, like, this thing needs to live an entire turn cycle or gain haste or something to do anything in the deck. Yeah, okay, I think we cut Dark Ritual off the list. It'd be really nice to get one more card and have it down to 150, but we're also at the 50-minute mark now, so I think we call it there for right now. So this week's work schedule is up, and I'm going in early on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this time. So I'm going to try to work on Tevel each day. Still, is like the one thing that I stream in the morning. But because of the tighter schedule, I might not be able to all 3 days. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's going to do it for me for right now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.